Hi all, welcome to BIS Academy. Today we will go through the Prime Minister's speech at 76th session of United Nations General Assembly. So the reason for making this video is so that we'll understand the key terms for your prelims, we'll get the facts, and we'll also try to learn some facts for our mains examination. So let us understand Prime Minister's speech. If you want to get this download of the speech, you can go to pib.gov.in, that is Press Information Bureau. It is a Government of India website. You can see here Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Okay, let me start with the English rendering of Prime Minister's address at 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Okay, let me ask you a prelims question. What was the number of United Nations General Assembly session? So you might not get that question in your UPSC, you might get it in your State Service Examination, 76th session. Okay, so you can see here, so His Excellency Abdullah Shahid Ji, so he is the chairing the presidency. So Prime Minister has expressed great pride for all the developing countries, especially small island developing states, to have you as a president. So who is the president of United Nations General Assembly? Abdullah Shahid Ji. Okay. So president also spoke about pandemic, right? So and he paid tribute to all those who lost lives in such a terrible pandemic, and he expressed condolences of the families. Okay. So he started with his speech. Prime Minister of India started his speech with, I am representing a country which has a distinction of being a mother of democracy. So with this, you can use in your essay, you can use in GS, you can use in your main optionals as well if relevant. So India is a mother of democracy. Next, why? Because we have a great tradition of democracy for thousands of years. On 15th August, India entered its 75th year of independence. Our diversity is the hallmark of our strong democracy. The benchmark or the bench or the pillar of our strong democracy is diversity. So India has a great tradition of democracy for thousands of years. That is why India is called mother of democracy. Try to remember these words. It will fetch you more marks. Next, a country that has a dozen of languages, hundreds of dialects, different lifestyles, different cuisines is different eating habits. So South Indian have different thali, and then North Indians have different food. The food varies from state to state in India. So this is an example of vibrant democracy. Earlier, mother of democracy. Now India is a vibrant democracy. Why is it vibrant? Because we have hundreds of languages, dozens of languages, hundreds of dialects, different lifestyles, different cuisines. So that is unity in diversity. That is why India is a vibrant democracy. Next, it is the strength of India's democracy that a small child who has helped his father at a tea stall at a railway station is addressing the UNGA Assembly for the fourth time today as the Prime Minister of India. I hope so you understood. The Prime Minister is talking about the success of democracy, quoting his example. Okay. As the Chief Minister of Gujarat for the longest time, and then as the Prime Minister of India for the last 7 years. Okay, he has been serving the countrymen in the role of head of the government for 20 years. So he's saying this, I'm saying this from my experience. Yes, democracy can deliver. Yes, democracy has delivered. So, quoting his lifestyle, Prime Minister has said this statement. He's talking about the success of democracy. He was born in a poor family. He used to sell tea with his father, and now he became the Prime Minister of India, and he is addressing the United Nations General Assembly for the fourth consecutive term. And then past 20 years he has been in public service. So for that he used a statement, that is, yes, democracy can deliver. Yes, democracy has delivered. So if you want, you can ask, democracy will deliver. This quotation you can use in examination in polity. Right. Anything about democracy or India or policy or votes or rights, you can use this. Any question about democracy, you can use this quote. This quote is, yes, democracy can deliver. Yes, democracy has delivered, and democracy will deliver. So I hope you understood this statement. Okay, India became independent 75 years back. That means democracy, because India survived because of democracy. So that means India has delivered. we see India is not occupied by any military power or any other source of other power. We are running as per our constitution. That means democracy has delivered, and democracy can deliver, and democracy will deliver. Okay. The proof is India is mother of democracy. Okay. Today is the birth anniversary of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya ji, the father of Ektam Manava Darshan. Ektam Manava Darshan. That is integral humanism. Okay, that is the co-journey of development and expansion from self to collective. So, Prime Minister was referring to the birth anniversary of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya. He spoke about integral humanism. What is humanism? You all know. I mean, having that humane qualities, being helpful to others, having empathy, sympathy, compassion as you speak in your ethics. So, this terminology, this concept of integral humanism is given by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyaya and Sri Aurobindo as well. This is nothing but expansion of from self to collective. That means primarily focusing on your needs and then trying to help your friends, trying to help your neighbors, trying to help your society, trying to help your state, trying to help your country. So you are expanding your zone, horizon from self to collective. That is, you are integrating everybody, every human in your approach towards life. That is integral humanism. So you can use this. Okay. Next. So we have discussed mother of democracy, vibrant democracy, and then now we have seen integral humanism. This keyword, use it in your exams. You can use it in your ethics case study as well. Okay. And then this quote as well. Yes, democracy can deliver. Yes, democracy has delivered. And yes, democracy will deliver. Okay. You can end this, use this for any answer related to democracy. Next. Expansion of the self, moving from an individual to a society, the nation to an entire humanity. This contemplation is dedicated to Antyodaya. That means integral humanism is dedicated to Antyodaya, whereas Antyodaya means where no one is left behind in today's definition. Okay. Contemplation means thinking. If you see the word contemplation, that means when you think, that is. So when you're writing exam, you'll think, is option A right, or option B right, or option C right, or option D right. That is contemplation. Or what is the right thing to do? Should you get a job or prepare for UPSC? That is contemplation. Okay. With this, continue with the speech. With this spirit, India today is moving ahead on the path of integrated, equitable development. Development must be all inclusive, all touching, all pervading, all allable. This is our priority. If you see, this is a wonderful statement. With this, he's saying, with this Antyodaya spirit, that is integral spirit, humanism spirit, India is moving towards to head on the path of, so is moving on a path of integrated, that is together, equitable development. And development must be all inclusive, all touching, all pervading, all allable. This is our priority. So with this spirit, India is moving on an integrated, equitable development, and that development should be all inclusive, all touching, all pervading, all allable, and that is the priority of the Government of India. So where can you use any development in your sociology or your GS paper when you're talking about development and growth or development or economy? You can use this. India is moving ahead on a path of integrated, that is together, equitable. All the resources are distributed equitably, and then development must be all inclusive. I mean, all are included, all touching. It reaches everybody, all pervading across the length and breadth of India, all allable to all the necessary people, and this is the priority. Okay. In the last 7 years, more than 430 million people in India have connected to banking system. So, how many million people have been connected to banking system? 430 million people have been connected to banking system. Earlier, who were deprived of this opportunity. Today, more than 360 million people who could not have thought of it earlier have also got insurance coverage. That means, so his Prime Minister was quoting about Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Jam Trinity. That is nearly 430 million people you can use in your answers when talking about inclusiveness or banking system. 430 million people have been included into the banking system. And then how many people were given insurance in India? 360 million people. Use by heart this data, use it wherever relevant. Were being given insurance coverage. Okay. Okay, coming here, I request you all to take insurance coverage. It is very essential because due to pandemic, we have seen, I personally have seen so many people who have suffered due to lack of insurance. I think so. Don't neglect when you're healthy, take insurance. The premiums will be less. Okay, coming back to the speech. By providing free treatment to more than 50 crore people, that means India has provided free health treatment to 50 crore people, more than 50 crore. India has connected them with quality of health service. India has built 30 million Pakka houses. Homeless families have now become homeowners. So you can use this statement also in your answers. Homeless families are now homeowners. Nearly 50 crore people have their own houses. I mean, have their medical treatment. 30 million have Pakka houses. Okay, 30 million. Right. Don't be overwhelmed by the facts, but write it down in your notes and just by heart, so that you will be able to use in your interviews, in your mains and prelims, any which way you need facts. Okay. Polluted water is a big problem not only in India but the whole world, especially for the poor and developing countries. Here, Prime Minister was mentioning about the problem of polluted water. That means we don't have clean drinking water. To tackle this challenge, in India, we are running a huge campaign to provide clean water to more than 170 million households. So, to tackle the polluted water, the campaign has started. That is, the clean water, sending or giving piped clean water to more than 170 million households. Okay. The problem was polluted water, and the solution was piped clean water to drink. That is the solution. Okay. Big organizations of the world have recognized that for development of any country, it is very important for the citizens to have proper rights of the land, okay, and the house. And that is a record of ownership. In large countries of the world, there are a number of people who do not have property rights of the land and houses. Today, we have engaged in providing digital records of their homes and land to millions of people by mapping them with drones in more than nearly 6 lakh villages of India. So, property rights were being ensured, that were given to millions of people by giving digital records, by using drone technology. Okay, this drone technology is used, so you understand the importance of drone. Maybe in your science and technology, you might get question about drone technology. So, those drones are used to map the land, survey the land, and then make digital records. And this was done in nearly 6 lakh villages in India. Not just 1, 2, 3, 6 lakhs. 6 lakh villages. Okay. This digital record is facilitating the access of people to access credit. That is, they have access to bank loans while reducing property disputes. So, this scheme is resolving property disputes. If you go to courts, a lot of cases are recurrent to land disputes. Okay. The problem was no proper property rights or no proper records. Solution was using drone technology to map and to make digital records. Right. Today, every 6th person in the world is an Indian. When Indians progress, the development of the world also gets boost. When India grows, the world grows. When India reforms, the world transforms. So, out of every 6th person in the world is an Indian. That means you can understand the reach of Indians, the success of Indians. When India grows, the world grows. When India reforms, the world transforms. You can use this quote or saying in your answers when you're writing about your economy, growth and development, or about India in IR, right? When India grows, the world grows. When India reforms, the world transforms. Science and technology based innovations in India can greatly help the world. Both the scale of our tech solutions and their lower cost are unparalleled. So the Prime Minister is saying, so India is a tech friendly country and the cost of production of the technology is low, so that you can come and invest. So with our unified payment interface, more than 3.5 billion transactions are taking place every month in India. India's vaccine delivery platform, CoWIN, is providing digital support for millions of vaccine doses in a single day. So talking about technology, Prime Minister was quoting of the examples. First example was Unified Payment Interface, that is your UPI. This is a payment gateway. So he is saying that 3.5 billion transactions are taking place every month in India. That means he is showing the technology progress of India. And next example of technology was COVIDWin. This technology platform is providing digital support for millions of vaccine doses in a single day. So you can use these things when you're writing a technology. Use United Payment Interface, that is 3.5 billion transactions are taking place every month in India. Next is you can use COVIN platform, which is helping in vaccination. Next, India, which lives on the principle of Seva Parmo Dharma, is dedicated to vaccine development and manufacturing despite limited resources. So service is a priority of India. Seva Parmo Dharma, that is, of all, service is the highest dharma. So you can remember the example of Mother Teresa or Gandhiji. All Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, Hinduism, all these religions also emphasize on service to humanity, service to God. So this principle is being emphasized, Seva Parmo Dharma. So you can use this in your answers. Right. I want to inform UNGA, that is United Nations General Assembly, that India has developed the world's first DNA based vaccine. So this you might get a question in your prelims. India has developed the world's first DNA based vaccine. If you know the name of it, try to give in the comments. Which can be administered to all people below the age of 12 years. So that means you have a younger brother or a sister who is below the age of 12 years, they can be given vaccination, and this vaccination is DNA based vaccination. It is the world's first DNA based vaccine which was developed in India. Other vaccination is mRNA vaccine. What is DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. So it has the genetic material. Okay. Another vaccine is mRNA vaccine. It is in the final stages of development. Scientists of India are also engaged in the development of nasal vaccine, like your nasal drops. Realizing its responsibility towards humanity, India has once again started distributing the vaccine to the needy people of the world. So what is this mRNA? We all know vaccine. What is mRNA? Messenger RNA. RNA is ribonucleic acid. There are different types of RNAs. That is, one type is messenger RNA, which it's like it carries a message. So that's why it's called messenger RNA. So India had made world's first DNA vaccine. Now India is also making mRNA vaccine. Okay, and then coming back to speech, I also invite vaccine manufacturers from all over the world today, come make vaccine in India. So you can use this as well in your answers. Come make vaccine in India. So Prime Minister is inviting technology firms or research firms and pharma firms to come forward to India and make vaccine here. Okay, today we all know that in human life how important is technology. But in the changing world, technology with democratic values is also necessary to ensure this. This is a wonderful statement. You might get this as a question in your mains. Technology with democratic values is also necessary to ensure this. Why is this? Can you think of an example? What will happen if I have technology without democratic values? Only few people will be benefited if you have, let us say, hacking or data privacy. There will be breach of your privacy. Your private data will be sold in the market if you don't have democratic values. So technology should be responsible. Technology should have values, especially technology with democratic values is necessary. Okay. Coming back to the speech, Indian origin doctors, innovators, engineers, managers, be it in any country, our democratic values keep inspiring them to be engaged in the service of humanity. And we have seen this even during this COVID or Corona period. The Corona pandemic has also taught a lesson to the world that global economy must be diversified for now. For this, expansion of global value chains is necessary. So Prime Minister is talking about global value chains. Our Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is Self-Reliant India campaign, is inspired by this spirit. So it is inspired by the spirit of technology with democratic values. India is becoming democratic and trustworthy partner for the world for global industrial diversification. And in this campaign, India has established a better balance in both economy and ecology. So this balance in both economy and ecology is essential. You can use this statement in your answers. So in your ethics, you might get a case study about ethical dilemmas involved between economy and ecology, or in your economy they might ask, or your science and technology might get a question. So you have to carry this balanced approach. Both growth is important, at the same time saving environment is important. So human welfare is also important, safety and security is important, at the same time boosting your economic growth is also important. So the balance in both economy and ecology is necessary. Okay. You will definitely be proud to see India's efforts on climate action so compared to the big and developed countries. Today India is moving very fast towards a target of 450 gigawatts of renewable energy. What is the target of India regarding renewable energy? Okay, what is energy? Okay, what is renewable energy? Energy, you answer it in the comments. I'll tell you what renewable energy is. Any energy, any source of energy which can be renewed. That is, examples are your hydropower is renewable energy, your solar power is renewable energy. All green energies are renewable energies. Or you can use wind energy, that is renewable energy, or this tidal energy, this is also renewable energy. So India is moving, India has a target of this. What is the target? India ought to achieve 450 gigawatts. So this fact is very important. India's target is 450 gigawatts of renewable energy. And we are also in the campaign to make India the world's largest green hydrogen hub. So what is green hydrogen hub? You have to read about it. So India has the target of becoming the world's largest green hydrogen hub. So focus on this hydrogen hub, you might get a question in the prelims and your mains. Next, we have to answer to our future generation that when it was time to take decisions, what were they doing when they were responsible for guiding the world? Today the danger of regressive thinking and extremism is increasing in the front of world. So Prime Minister is talking about regressive thinking, that is opposite to progressive thinking. Regressive thinking and extremism. Extremisms are, you have Naxalites, you have terrorists, all violent means. So there is a danger of regressive thinking and extremism. It is increasing in front of the world. Example is Afghanistan. Next, under these circumstances, the whole world has to make science-based, rational and progressive thinking as a basis of development. The solution for regressive thinking and extremism is we have to make science-based, rational and progressive thinking as a basis of development. So you can use this science-based, rational and progressive thinking, the basis of development. Next, to strengthen the science-based approach in India is promoting experience-based learning. So he is saying that India is promoting experience-based learning. So for example, how can you say? Let us say, I'll say the scientific name of tiger is Panthera tigris. And we'll also talk about different birds and animals. That is theory-based learning, if I teach you that. For example, if I take you to the zoo and we see the tiger and we see the scientific name and we see it physically, we understand its features, we see different plant species, animal species, that is experience-based learning. Okay. So India is focusing on that to strengthen the science-based approach. How? India has opened thousands of Atal Tinkering Labs in schools. So they are using different technology, that visual technology, animation technology, all these things. So how they are doing it? Through Atal Tinkering Labs in schools, and they are building incubators and develop a strong startup ecosystem. Okay, to commemorate the 75th year of independence, India is going to launch 75 such satellites into space, which Indian students are developing in schools and colleges. To celebrate or to commemorate the 75th year of India's independence, 75 satellites which are made by Indian students are being developed in schools and colleges. Okay. On the other hand, with regressive thinking, countries that are using terrorism as a political tool have to understand that terrorism is an equally big threat to them. So terrorism is not only a threat to the neighbors or the target troops, but terrorism is also a threat to that people. It's like building a Frankenstein monster. Once you build that monster, it will also eat you away with that. It is very important to ensure that the soil of Afghanistan is not used for spreading terrorism and terrorist attacks. So Prime Minister was referring to Afghanistan because of the Taliban problem. We also have to be careful that no country tries to use the delicate situation there as a tool for its selfish motives. At present, the people of Afghanistan, the women and children there, the minorities there need help, and we have to discharge our responsibility. So Prime Minister is requesting the global leaders to focus on helping the women, children and minorities, and need to help them, people in Afghanistan, because it is a global responsibility. Next, our oceans are also our common heritage. He is talking about this environmental concern and resources as well, because the ocean globe belongs to all of us, not just one nation. Our oceans are also our common heritage. That is why we have to keep in mind that we use the ocean resources and not abuse them. This is, you can use this, use the ocean resources but not abuse. So you can use this use and abuse terminology as well. Use the ocean resources but not abuse them. Okay, our oceans are also lifeline of international trade. We have to safeguard them from the race of expansion and exclusion. So he is referring to what is happening in South China Sea. China is building artificial islands, which is not a good thing. It is disturbing the ecosystem, disturbing the political balance. It is also disturbing the trade balance. So Prime Minister was quoting to this. We have to use the ocean resources but not abuse them. At the same time, they are lifeline of the international trade. Lot of international trade happens through oceans. If you go to any port, you will understand the huge amounts of containers, stock, all how it is a busy place, right? In order to strengthen the rule-based world order, the international community must speak in unison. The broad consensus reached during India's presidency in the Security Council shows that the way forward as maritime security is concerned. So let's repeat this. So the Prime Minister was talking about the broad consensus should be reached during India's presidency. So India is leading the UN General Assembly. So a consensus has to be reached in the Security Council regarding maritime security. Okay, he was focusing on maritime security because of the issues. Example is South China Sea. Okay. And India's great philosopher Acharya Chanakya said centuries ago, Kalati Karmat Kal and Phalam Pibati. Okay, when the right work is not done at the right time, time itself destroys the success of that work. So this is a beautiful statement. You might get this question as well. So in ethics, you have syllabus that you have to learn from great philosophers. Okay, the quote from Acharya Chanakya was, when the right work is not done at the right time, time itself destroys the success of that work. Classical example. You are planning to give your exam in 2022. What you need to do this next coming year? You have to prepare thoroughly, structurally and in a planned fashion. If you lose your time, for example, you skip for a month and then you come back, you do not do the right things. You don't do practice questions, you don't write mains questions on a daily basis, you don't read editorials, then time itself destroys the success of that work. So that means you will not succeed if you don't do the right thing. When the right work is not done at the right time, the success of that work is destroyed. That is the meaning of this quote. So you have to act at the right time and the right work. This is a quote. You can use this wonderful quote. When the right work is not done at the right time, time itself destroys the success of that work. Okay. If the United Nations has to keep itself relevant, it has to improve its effectiveness, increase its reliability. So United Nations has to improve its effectiveness and increase its reliability. That means Prime Minister is referring to United Nations reforms, UN reforms. So that you might get an essay there. Be ready with an essay for UN reforms. A number of questions are being raised on UN today. We have seen this during the climate and COVID crisis. The ongoing proxy war in many parts of the world, terrorism and the crisis in Afghanistan have deepened this question. In the context of the origin of COVID-19 and with regard to ease of doing business rankings, global governance institutions have damaged their credibility built by decades of hard work. So now recently the ease of doing business has been closed because it lost its credibility. Okay. Next, it is essential that we constantly strengthen the UN for protection of global order. So be ready with the UN reforms essay. Global laws and global values. I am concluding with the words of Nobel laureate Guru Rabindranath Tagore ji. Shubho kormo hote, dhoro nirbhayo ghan, shon durbhul, sound show hok anuboshin. Okay, that is, move forward fearlessly on the auspicious path of action. May all weakness and doubts be eliminated. So this is wonderful. That is, move forward fearlessly on your auspicious path of action. May all weakness and doubts be eliminated. You take it as an example. Move forward fearlessly with your auspicious path of action. What is your auspicious path of action? Now is clearing the exam, becoming an IAS officer. Move towards that fearlessly. All your weakness and doubts will be eliminated. This message is relevant to the United Nations in today's context, as it is every responsible country. I am confident that all of us will strive to enhance peace and harmony in the world, make the world healthy and safe, prosperous. So you can use this in your conclusion in your answers. So I am confident that all of us will strive to enhance peace and harmony in the world, make the world healthy, safe and prosperous. So with this, best wishes. Thank you very much. Namaskar. So this is the entire speech of our Prime Minister, which you can use for your prelims, mains and an interview. The source is go to pib.gov.in and you can search September 25th. Right. Okay. Thank you for listening. And this is there in regional language as well. You can read it in Hindi, Marathi, Manipuri, Punjabi, Gujarati, Odia, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam. Okay students, thank you for listening. Let us meet in coming classes.